getting to LA.
Yeah.
What about, besides a change of scenery, which can never sort of be, understated as a thing of importance for everybody. What about that kind of was able to bring you back, you feel like?
I always say that, but Ty Lue saved my career. He did.
At that point, what about him was so influential?
So the 2 years I had before that, awful. I was one number-wise, contract-wise, the worst player in the NBA. And I got there at day one and literally told me, I don't give a F about what happened the last 2 years. You're going to play for me. You're going to start. And I started.
Welcome to The Young Man in the Three, as always presented by 342 Productions and Wondery Media. We have a great interview we taped yesterday with Nick Batum in Los Angeles. Legendary dude, ton of great stories, great analysis on playoffs, Olympics, all of that. But before we get to that, Mr. Cam Johnson is gracing us with his presence. From sunny Scottsdale. What's up, dude?
Same old, man. Just working.
Just building this house out?
Almost there. Yeah, day by day, brick by brick.
Day by day. We're going to do a little finals, your sort of finals preview analysis, because you have a couple thoughts on that. Before we get to that real quick, earlier today, we were talking about this. Knicks announced that they were going to be moving on from Coach Tibbs. I was at the game Saturday night. This is obviously a pretty shocking NBA thing. What was your initial thought?
It's kind of crazy to say this, but the initial thought now is no really shock, you know? And I guess he kind of adds to complete that, every coach of the year from 18 to 23 has kind of found degrees of success and then, kind of in the midst of it been let go. But you kind of got to look at it from like a team building perspective, It's like that team is a really good roster and they're really close. So I guess maybe ownership, front office is just looking at it like what can get us over the hump. And I guess that's the best solution they had.
So to that point, the longest tenured coaches in the NBA now, Spo's number one, 17 years, Kerr's 11 years, Billy Donovan 5, Ty Lue 5, now Dagnall and OKC 5. It's got to be, coaching in the NBA has got to be, people used to always say this about the NFL, but it feels like this is this gig that it is like no matter what you do, you are on the hot seat 3 months in the next year.
Yeah, I mean, you have guys in this league getting paid, upwards of $60 million. Maybe your top 4 to 5 guys average out mid-20s, 30. And then you have a coach that fits in somewhere in the probably 5 to 10 million range for most, maybe a little bit more for the premier ones. It's not traditional of sports, especially like amateur sports that we're so used to. It's not, where the coach is the final authority figure, kind of the be all end all, especially which we've seen in college over, the history of it. They're kind of, I think the way these teams look at it is like they're interchangeable pieces, just like players are interchangeable pieces. And sometimes it seems like they treat them as even more interchangeable than maybe players. So if something's not going right, and we see this all the time in today's NBA, if something's not going right, they're very, very, very quick to put that on the coach and switch that coaching staff over. And I think it's tough because, it's a copycat league, and some teams have done it with a lot of success. You look at Golden State going from Mark Jackson to Steve Kerr, championships, dynasty run. You look at Toronto going from Dwayne Casey to Nick Nurse and immediately coming up with a championship. So I think that's kind of set a precedent that like this can be a successful a formula for winning to getting over the hump.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and this is not necessarily a defense of any of these owners firing coaches, but to the point you just made, sometimes just a change of scenery and a change of voice works both ways. And I would use an example this year, earlier in the year, sort of another shock. One of these was when Denver fired, Mike Malone, coming a couple years off of a championship. And Mike Malone's a great coach, probably will be a, head coach somewhere this fall if he wants to be. But it was also like the team responded well to that happening, and it's the reality of, it's sort of the reality of any sort of high pressure, high stakes business that involves, people having to, buy in and do things. Sometimes you have to, shake the tree a little bit. It feels like, to get that optimal buy-in. And it feels like something that can feel cold in the moment, but then after the fact, it doesn't always necessarily age badly that it's happening.
Absolutely. And I'm not really a fan of it either. I think it's like, a lot of the times, especially recently, I feel like it's been premature. It's been, like bringing in a new coaching staff is very hit or miss with your group, especially when you're a team that's knocking on the door, that's right there, that just needs a little push over the top. It doesn't always make sense to me why you go in a completely different direction. Like, think of all the how much of their program, how much of their identity they've built out over the years, then how much it's going to take for them to just kind of start that over with a new coach. To me, I don't really see the upside in it, maybe as much as the people who are making decisions do, but you're right, man. It's the reality of the NBA we're in today.
All right. We'll do a little final start Thursday night, 8:30 ABC. Our boys on both sides of this are in this thing. We did a little DraftKings thing earlier, and I was talking about, I don't think this finals matchup could have worked out any better for this particular show. I wanted to get your thoughts in particular on the Indy offense versus the OKC D. Much was sort of talked about the Pacers on this run, with how Rick coaches and with Ty and everything like that, how they are just sort of punishing weak defensive matchups. And they're so good at finding that. OKC doesn't have any weaknesses on defense. So on a broad sense, as we sort of start this conversation, how do you see that matchup working out?
Exactly what you said, man. I think OKC's defense is going to be the kind of the be all end all here. Indiana thrives on pace, first and foremost. Everything is driven by that pace. You get them in the half court, you can slow them up. They become a lot more manageable defensively. So as long as OKC is just so principle based, so accountable on the defensive end, they're good. They're number one defense for a reason. Not only number one defense, I think they're also a top 5, maybe 3 offense in the regular season at least. So it's going to be a tough task for Indiana. Definitely tougher than any opponent they've played thus far. Cleveland was really banged up when they played them, and you can't expect, they've also been winning on a lot of playoff dramatics, which is awesome for viewership. But the fact that it's sustained that much and they're able to consistently come back from deficits, win close games, go on crazy runs is incredible. Yeah. But I don't think OKC is gonna be as vulnerable to losing those games.
Can I throw one counter to this too that I feel like has been brought up a little bit, but probably has not been mentioned as much as it probably should be? Is, do you think OKC is going to have trouble with the double bigs in this series with that speed that you're talking about?
They could. They definitely could. I'm not going to say they won't, but it's not two unintelligent bigs. It's two very intelligent, pretty mobile bigs. I mean, Hartenstein plays hard. Holmgren gets up and down the court too. Like, these are not just two big stiffs that are, slowing down the game, taking up space. Like, those guys can get out and move a little bit. So it definitely could be a factor, but I don't think it's going to shock OKC. I think they're going to be thoroughly prepared for the pace.
Is there a particular cross match you're excited to see?
Yeah, I want to see how Indy guards Shea is the main. I think, are they going to put Nesmith on him? Are they going to put Nembhard on him? Or are they going to kind of alternate those guys? I think they'll just alternate.
Well, based off this playoff so far, what would you think?
Start with Nesmith, pick him up full. Don't worry about foul trouble. Play hard. Tire him out. You have Nembhard, who's another great defender right behind him. You got rim protectors. I would start with Neesmith and then be ready to throw a curveball with Nembhard, who's a little smaller, gets into the ball a little bit. But that's what I would do.
Because we haven't taped in a couple of weeks, what was your favorite moment from the conference finals in both conferences?
Gotta be Tyrese's shot. What was that, game 1?
Were you at home?
I
talked to you the next day. I don't think I talked to you that night.
I was going to dinner. I was pulling in to the parking lot of dinner.
During that fourth quarter or during the actual shot?
During the actual shot.
Oh, you should have pulled over. That's not safe.
I know. My college teammate Luke May was holding the game on his phone, and then we're like 2 minutes out from the restaurant we're going to, and he's like, straight face, like, Neesmith just hit 5 threes in a row. Like, the Pacers are right back in the game. I'm like, no way. Like, we left. Like, we left the game 10, 15 minutes before that. Like, yeah, Knicks got him. And so I literally, as I was pulling into the parking spot, Tyrese got the ball and started running up the court. So that was my favorite moment. The celebration, everything. I think that's what we want as NBA fans, is that those exciting moments, those big time plays. Props to Tyrese, props to the entire Pacers team for stepping up big and making plays when they needed them. Like, that's what this game is about. And if they can continue to do that in the finals, it's going to be tougher. But if they continue to do that, they'll have a chance.
It's interesting with this, and you and I were together for the one against Milwaukee, and then I don't think we were together for the Cavs one, but we talked that night afterwards. But all three of these crazy comebacks, the teams didn't choke. Like, they missed a couple free throws. They turned it over. I mean, the turnovers were worse in the Milwaukee one, I guess, in retrospect. But even in this, and when you watch this, when they're down 9 with like 51 seconds or whatever it was left, it wasn't like the Knicks just completely just fell apart and missed everything and turned it over 4 times and just kind of like just rolled over. It was like they kind of it was more just like the Pacers overwhelmed them. It was like you're saying, It was like Neesmith hitting shot, hit 1 free throw, another 3, one layup, another 3. It was like they kind of just kept coming.
They just played perfect basketball.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was like if they didn't do everything perfectly, they lose in all 3 of these.
Right. Exactly. I would say Cleveland was the one that was a little bit more of a meltdown on Cleveland's end, the dramatics at the end of some of those games.
Yeah.
But definitely Milwaukee had a little bit of it too. But the Knicks ones wasn't really.
It was.
They just played.
Isn't it also funny how he just has these celebrations lined up?
Yeah, just ready to troll, just ready, and I love it too.
Yeah.
It's the whole underdog kind of. It comes from being in a small market team, but he's embracing it. Tyrese is embracing it. The whole team is embracing it, and it's cool to watch it. That's what we wanted as NBA fans. I don't know what the fans exactly have wanted over the years. Some enjoy the superstar, super team, big threes. Some enjoy the kind of openness of it. But I've really enjoyed this playoffs. I hate the fact that I'm not playing in them, but I've really enjoyed watching them as a basketball fan and someone who has love for this game. And I think it's great for our league.
Next year, we'll close with this. If you were to give 2 X factors, 1 X factor for each team in the series, you can't say Tyrese, you can't say Shea.
Neesmith. And because some of the performances he put together in that Eastern Conference Finals, shooting the ball, just pure shooting the ball, scoring was huge on top of his defensive effort. Now his defensive demands are going to remain high in these finals. Is he going to be able to have those absolutely ridiculous shooting games that literally kind of gives them wins? I think that's what I'm going to watch on the Pacers side. On the Thunder, I'm interested to see kind of how those other guys, those role players play, kind of bunch together. Let's say Wiggins, Isaiah Joe, and Cason Wallace, and how much they get going, and how much they're able to contribute on the defensive end and knocking down shots.
Well said.
Because if OKC if OKC gets to scoring efficiently, it's going to be tough.
Yep. We will check in on this next week. Cam Johnson, thank you as always.
Thank you.
Nick Batum.
Yes, sir.
Long time coming.
Exactly.
We should start with the current playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We're taping this Monday, June 2nd.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on where we are with OKC Indy?
OKC, I mean, obviously, like, we're destined to be in that spot right now. In the final 68 wins, I mean, defense, whatever. Not really shocked, but Indy is different. Like, you are surprised, but we're really not surprised. No, they were in that spot last year. I mean, the conference finals, they went to the cup final last year too. So that's a good team. Like, we just don't think about them in the East, and the way they play, the way the two-star play, the way they get coached, the history of the franchise. You're like, yeah, they belong there. So that's gonna be a fun matchup.
So with OKC first,
Mm-hmm.
Youngest team in the league by a decent margin. Didn't sneak up on anyone this year because last year was sort of when they really made their run. Obviously, Shea, MVP. Are you surprised at all, having been through these locker rooms, these battles, knowing the sort of battle scars you have to win in the playoffs, to win in May? Are you surprised at their ability to sort of take these counter punches from these Western Conference teams and come back?
That's the beauty of that franchise and that coach too, and his staff, and of course the players. That last year that was a tough loss against Luka and the Mavs for sure, but they learned from it and they signed two guys. I think they're the two biggest addition in the free agency. They trade for Caruso and signed Isaiah. So, and there's those two sneaky signing that nobody talk about. It's been huge though.
Yeah.
It's huge.
We're biased with this show because we do a lot with Caruso. You know, he's kind of part of the show. But when you watch him defend Jokic in a Game 7 and just...
No, I mean, first round, I had to guard Jokic too. That was like my assignment. And I mean, I thought I did a good job technically. I mean, if he's still like amazing, but when I watched in the game and the way he played him, I think guy got to study. Like, I don't talk about the big man.
Yep.
Like, if you get like switch up on a guy like Jokic, yeah, it's gonna be tough to slow him down because he's the best player in the world. But the way he guarded him, and he was just moving around, try to play, because Jokic got a computer in his brain. So you have to, if you try to outwork him, you won't. I mean, but you have to outsmart him sometime and mess up with the computer upstairs. And he did that.
So how do you mess up the computer?
So, I mean, nobody knows. That's why he's the best player in the world for the last 5 years.
I was going to bring this up later, but I'm very curious when you're approaching this computer in an NBA playoff series versus in FIBA, is there any difference in the approach? Same.
That's why he's the best, and that's why Tom Jokic is the best, because you're watching the Olympics. Yes, Team USA, Steph Brown, but literally the best player of the tournament was Jokic.
Yeah.
He may be the only guy we have lately to be the best in FIBA and in the NBA.
What point in his growth, because you've known him a long time, you've played against him a long time, at what point in his growth did this become clear to you that this was happening to this extent and to this scale?
I think when he got his first MVP, though. Like, first MVP, you're like, okay, maybe he got lucky or not. We don't know, because we all think like Giannis going to be the guy. And he's got back-to-back and he's going to be the guy, and maybe Joel's going to take over. But the first, I think, Jokic MVP, you're like, oh, okay, he's that good, but he kept getting better. I mean, it's pretty much MIP every year.
Yeah.
That's the scary part to his game. So,
have you had, I'm trying to think about, you guys have had so many battles with him, but even games you've watched where there's been a particular, I think about this with some of the Rainbow Threes, where he has some.
Yeah, I mean, the 2023 conference finals against the Lakers was insane. No, that was, you could see like, okay, he's going to win it this year. He's untouchable. He's the best player in the world. So, but he's one of the greatest player front by one player, especially a European player. I think Dirk is number one in 2011. But what he did in 2023, I think at that moment, people was like, okay, he's that guy for real.
When you look at this OKC defense in particular, number one defense in the league all year, they were on a pretty historic pace as a sort of team from a net rating standpoint. There's no weaknesses, not even 1 through 5, but like 1 through 9.
Yes.
There's no weaknesses. From a connectivity standpoint, outside of the individual talent, what do you see?
I mean, they're all connected. Their team defense is insane. And usually when you play a team, like you try to target it the weak link, they don't have any. I mean, you want to target Shea because it may be getting in foul trouble. So maybe he's going to be the guy. Like, they're going to target just to get him in foul trouble. But he's a decent defensive player, too. So, but the way they team defense, like, people talk about Anthony Edwards. I mean, he couldn't go anywhere. They were like in a zone matchup defense. I mean, European stuff, technically. It's like EuroLeague style the last, like, 20 years ago. And that's why I'm like, Ant can't do anything. Because he had like a wall, like a Giannis wall, technically in front of him nonstop.
It is interesting you bring up the Euro connection because it does. I'm curious if you think there have been other defenses since you've been in the NBA that have been sort of similar to that in terms of this blockage that they sort of present.
It's tough. You can't really play defense like that with the rule with the 3 second on defense. But you can like board up those 1-3-1 defense, zone defense. I don't know. One team did it this year. I forget which one did it. And I saw that. I was like, oh, so we're bringing the 1-3-1 matchup now in the NBA. So that's cool. So, I mean, it's going to get there. I think when you watch EuroLeague too, I mean, the two games start to get closer and closer. It used to be so different. Now it's got to get together.
What Indy's so good at, what Tyrese is so good at, what Carlisle is so good at is finding those weak links.
Yeah.
And no matter who they're up against, basically just figuring out how to exploit that. They don't have that in this series. Carlisle, we're not going to know about it until we see it on Thursday. There's a reason why he is who he is. So he'll have some sort of adjustment to kind of counter this. But I'm curious from their perspective, knowing their personnel, what you look at as something that they could probably try to work around this hole.
That's going to be the challenge. That's why this series is going to be great because the pace that the Pacers makes all game just nonstop. They put pressure on you because they nonstop running. Like how many times you used to like Nate's going to score and then Pascal is going to lay up 6 and after on the other side, or Tyrese got a long pass. I mean, that's nonstop. So it's tough to block that. And I think OKC is so good on defense. Going to have to. I don't think you can really try to get offensive rebound against them. You can't. You have to get 5 back right away. So, but pretty sure like the coach on their side going to find a way. That's their job, but it's going to be a fun matchup.
Watching Pascal and what he's done the last 2 years after being, the success he had in Toronto, he's one of my favorite guys in the league. He's one of my favorite stories in the league. Doesn't play organized basketball until he's 17, 18. Now he's a multiple-time All-NBA dude. But watching him, what do you think just seeing this growth from him?
It's a great story. I mean, I'm from Cameroon too. My dad's from Cameroon, so just I'm happy like to see Cameroon guys succeed in the NBA like him, all-star, like everything. But I mean, yeah, he started basketball like very late, like Joel, same stuff. But I mean, the way he's playing, I mean, Toronto, it was a huge part of the success they had in 2019. And then what happened, got traded to a team and he's still a big part. He got MVP. So happy for him though. He deserved like what he's doing right now. So I mean, he might get another ring. I hope he got one.
Have you seen? You've seen a lot of stuff in professional basketball over the years. Have you seen much like the Game 1 at the Garden?
Yes, the comeback.
Well, just so the crazy thing. I was at the game. The crazy thing about it to me was the Knicks didn't choke. Like they were up 9 with 55 seconds left, and they missed. They missed OG missed a free throw at the end. They had a turnover. They missed 1 or 2 free throws, but it wasn't like it was just Nesmith going absolutely crazy, and then it was like an avalanche. It was less about the Knicks giving it away, and it was more about they basically and they've now done this 3 times.
That's the thing. That's why I'm not surprised because that's 3 times in 3 weeks, not like 3 times in 6 years. They did it in the same month. So, yeah, I mean, that was surprising. And I think the Knicks pretty much lost that series that game because that's tough to come back from it. In game 2, they have a ton of pressure, and then they drop game 2 as well. But I mean, I've seen that before. I've seen it before, kind of, yes, but not 3 times in 1 month.
When you're in the middle of that, if you're on that Knicks team on the court, when you can feel this thing happening, outside of taking a timeout, is there any, just sort of mentally, how do you kind of take the punch and stand back up in game? Not talking about later in the series.
And the thing is, like the Tyrese shot was send the game in overtime. They didn't win the game. If they win the game on that, okay, cool. But they still got a chance to win it, and then did not. And I mean, that's tough to get back from that. When you're up 20, pretty much all game, up 14 with 6 left, up 9 with 50 left. I mean, to lose a game like that, that's tough. But what can you do? That's a good question. I mean, you have to slow down. But the pressure, like their press court, like full court pressure they put on that situation, they deny everything, and then they keep running. And knowing that they've done that before, that's put pressure on you as well.
Yeah. So one thing we were talking about before we started, which I feel like both these teams are probably an example of, and I think for a bunch of reasons with the second apron and everything, the league's been heading this way for a while, but it truly does feel like even the idea of a super team is gone, and the idea of having, just building around 2 or 3 stars and then having a bunch of filler guys is gone, and you need depth. And you think about the sort of key pieces outside of, take Shea out of it, take Tyrese out of it, the key pieces on both of these teams, it's like Nembhard, Nesmith, Caruso, Case and Wallace, it's the 7th and 8th guys, Aaron Wiggins coming in and winning a game or 2 in the Denver series. And so do these two teams, obviously they're built a little bit differently, but do they feel like sort of the blueprint for where everyone should be going?
I mean, before the conference finals, I was talking with a friend, like who's going to win, like, and I say OKC is going to win against Minnesota because Naz Reid, the DiVincenzo are the best players, but the bench of OKC is going to have more impact. And that's what happened with the Pacers too. I mean, when the 2 matchup we just seen, like against the Knicks and the Wolves, the team with the best bench impact going to win the series. And they won the series because the Pacers and the Thunder bench were amazing though. Amazing. I think because, yes, the Wolves got a better players, but the impact they have was way better from the Thunder. But that's what's going to be fun because that matchup, because pretty much the same. Like, they're all like crazy impacts in their own way. So that's why it's going to be, I mean, you can say because the Gachet and the starting lineup might be a little bit better for OKC, you can give the edge on OKC, but the bench is going to be pretty much the same.
Do you have outside of Ty and Shea, is there an X factor you look at?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be J-Dub or Pascal. Like, who's going to win that matchup?
Yeah.
Like, I think that the co-star matchup is going to be, I think, the series. Like, who's going to have the best one?
Thanks to DraftKings for sponsoring the show. The NBA Finals are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is pulling out all the stops to make this a finals to remember. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Richie, I was looking at the courtside buzz on DraftKings earlier today. They got all kinds of different same-game parlays. J-Dub's got an interesting one. It's called Willpower on the app. J-Dub, 25-plus points, 6-plus assists, 2-plus made threes. Team is -9 versus Indy, plus 800 on the app. J-Dub's going to have a big series. We're going to get into the preview stuff all over today's episode, but that's an interesting one to look at. Don't miss your last chance to bet on the NBA this season. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code YoungMan. That's code YoungMan for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Minimum -500 odds required. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
I want to go back to we're going all the way back.
Mm-hmm.
Calvados,
yeah,
Normandy.
Yeah.
What was the competition like?
Oof, not good. Not very good because I'm from a little small country town, like 5,000 people. They love basketball though. My dad used to play basketball there, but that's a country town with cows everywhere. I was the only black guy. My dad was from Cameroon, and only black guy in town, but I was born to play basketball because that's pretty much the only sport they play in that city. So when I was I think I left that town at 13 years old, 13 years old, but I really had no idea. Like maybe my goal was to go to the big city next to where I was growing up, not end up in the NBA. So maybe do basketball, like just for fun with my guys.
What kind of pressure was there to play football?
Huge. Because, I grew up in the 90s, though. And when France won the World Cup in 1998, now that was the biggest event since World War II for us. So I was 9, 10 years old. So, of course, we just saw it. So I wanted to play soccer. My mom denied me, said, no, you won't play soccer. I wanted to. So I played soccer in recess with my friend outside, but I never played.
Why do you think she knew? What was the...
No, Normandy is like the northwest of the U.S. It's raining everywhere, every time, nonstop. So she said, no outdoor sport, stay inside. So I stay inside and keep playing basketball. But that's good because I sucked at soccer.
So there wasn't. So I was thinking about this. I talked to Bilal about this a couple months ago because he's obviously an insane athlete, and he's somebody that probably if he just whatever he decides to do, he would be great at. You guys had different, stories, but there was still sort of a similar thing where he made the call when he was 13 or 14 that it was going to be basketball. Do you think that if you had, knowing your athleticism, knowing your brain, do you think if you had decided, if you had gotten your mom around on it, and the weather was better, that you would have been able to turn around? Being
friends, doing something else. I'm that bad though.
It just wouldn't
I'm
have
not that good. No, I don't think so. I'm too tall though. I'm too tall. I don't think I would be that good. But I think I'm glad I stick with basketball.
You go to the 2007 Youth Summit in the U.S. Did that feel like that was your first exposure to the sort of the global competition?
It was. a little bit earlier, like when you play, for us there's AAU tournament, whatever. The big stage for us is playing the Eurobasket under 18.
Yeah. So
that was the summer for me, 2006. And this is where you face the other guys in the continent. Because Europe France is a small country, but the continent is as big as the United States. So when you want to face and to know where you're at, then your country first, but then you want to see where you're at in the other guy in the continent. So the Eurobasket under 18 is, I think, the stage when you can figure it out where you are, like what's next for me. And we end up winning it, and I end up MVP. So I'm like, okay, this is where I am right now. So in Europe, I might be the best. That was me and Danilo Gallinari. We're the two best, 1 and 2. And when I got a call, you want to play the Nike Up Summit? No, that was in 2007. And we didn't have Instagram at that time. I don't want to sound old, but I didn't know any high school player. Now it's anywhere you're in the world, you just turn in and then you know exactly what they do in 6th grade.
Yep. Now I feel like it's actually flipped the opposite, where there's too much.
Exactly, everything.
Yeah.
But I had no idea what their guy was at that time. So I just went there and just acting up I was the best player in the world.
How was your game at that point different than it was as you got older?
I was more offensive guy, like scoring and do much. Get the ball in my hands a lot more. So my goal when I got there is to be the number one, the best scorer in the game, and I think I did. I was the best scorer in the game.
Did you feel like we've talked about this with Franz Wagner, with the Wagner brothers, about their experience in Germany? Just it's really interesting talking. Even Luka sort of talked about it a little bit. It's really interesting talking with the guys who grow up in that experience and how that translates when they have to play against AU American one-on-one. Did you feel like fundamentally you were at an advantage when you got here in 2007 just because of this upbringing?
Yes, because I stopped practicing with the pro team in 2004. So I get like 3 years of practice against grown men every single day. So that's the thing I like learning basketball in Europe is when you get in the NBA, for example, maybe go there after, but I've been through all the little tricks, like when the old guys treat you like rookie, like I've been there already 3 years ago. You know what I mean? So now I'm 16, 17 years old, but I've been through that already. So,
yeah.
And it's funny because when also you're the young guys and you got like scout coming in for you, and you got guys in your team like a little jealous too. So why they go see the young kid when I'm 28 years old and it should be me? So now they try to kick your ass in practice too as well. So you got to go through that. There's so many times after practice only to stop basketball.
It is funny. I think about this with the guy that I was thinking about this in the playoffs this year, who's had a great career, all over the place career, but a great career is Dennis Schroeder.
Mm-hmm.
But I think about these experiences where like he'll hit a big shot in an NBA playoff game, and he's not starting. He probably wasn't the guy that was the Knicks fans were targeting as like this is the person we need to worry about in the opposing game plan. But you're like, this dude has been getting beat up and been hitting big shots in all over the world for 15, 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is, from a mental standpoint, this is not new to him. Nothing that he's facing is new to him. And I do feel like, and I'm just kind of curious your perspective on this now with this new crop as well. It does feel like it's such a advantage where you're coming over here and you're like, there's nothing that's going to happen to me over here that I haven't already seen.
It is huge. Like I remember my first official NBA game, not preseason, my first NBA game was here against the Lakers. Kobe just got MVP the year before. So that's a big stage though. And Monty Williams was one of the coaches there. And he told me like, how you feel? You're scared? I'm like, I just spent 2 years in EuroLeague. Trust me. This is nothing. I'm good. Like you play in Greece, Turkey, Serbia, like stuff like that. Yeah, you like sometimes you scared got nervous.
So what was the first game against Kobe like?
Actually, like my first NBA action was guarding Kobe. Like I was a rookie, we down 20, and Nate McMillan was my coach. So clear the bench, white flag, whatever. Bring me up in my first action was guarding Kobe. I was like,
and how'd it go?
He missed.
There's your confidence.
I remember like he watched me. He's like,
we did an ep yesterday with T-Mac in Houston, and he was talking about working out. He was talking about working out with Kobe. They would work out a lot together in the summer, and he was basically just like there's so many great things to say about him, but his sort of maniacal ability to figure out his spots and get to his spots in a way where when you're defending him, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's nothing, if he gets there, there's nothing you can do about it. You just like the thing that people would say about Steph, but I think sort of fits in this regard as well, is it's kind of just like pray.
The thing is Steph is running everywhere. I think when Kobe got older, like around 30, 31 years old, I think like I always like people ask me like who's the tougher guy you have to guard your career. I always say Melo and Kobe. Kobe was insane though. You exactly, he knew, whatever defense going to throw at him is going to know exactly what to do, like in advance. And his footwork was insane. His toughness was insane, and was one of the best.
What about Melo made it so tough?
Denver Melo was crazy. Like at the beginning of my career, so I was young, was skinny, and it was my job. I was starting, but I had to guard the best opponent. And Denver Melo, I always say like he had everything. He was strong first, but post up, drive, threes, pull up, like ISO, jab, like turnaround, body ball, like everything. I always say he's the toughest guy I had to guard in my career.
It's so interesting thinking about the growth in his game as well, and how it's changed. Did you have an experience with that early on with Bron?
Yeah. That's funny because when a lot of people ask me this, I'm now OG because I'm the oldest guy now. So how was it when you were younger? Because when I got to the NBA. So like my rookie year, I started 70-some game, and I told you my job was guard this guy. So Kobe was 30 years old. Melo was 25. Bron was 24. D Wade was 25. So can you imagine, like, in the prime athleticism, like, that was crazy. So guarding Bron was like, I was 20 years old. I was 185, 90 pounds. So it was a long night. I had a very long night.
How are you? So I was going to ask about your transition from a lifestyle standpoint in terms of just the 82 games, the travel, the adjustments to being in the U.S. But I'm also just kind of curious the first couple of years, your adjustment to all right, I got Kobe on a Tuesday, I got Bron on a Thursday, I got James Harden on Saturday. I got and it's not only is it no off nights, it's like if I don't come 110%, I'm going to get murdered.
Murder. Like, I mean, and we had to win though, because sometimes you're young guys, you're in the team, and okay, the goal is to develop, like get better, and you see what happened. No, my team we want to make the playoff. We have to be in the playoff, in the West.
Yeah. Like
mid-2000s, so the crazy West. You have to get 50 wins just to get in. And so you had to do the job. And like I said, I was like, guys were like insane prime. So, but that was tough. I got a long night for sure. Like the first game I started, that was the first game my mom and my sister flew over from France to see me live. And I have to get T-Mac in Houston. And yeah.
Like mentally, you're in this spot where you're over and over again, by definition, as you're saying, you're guarding these people that they're going to score 35 and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
So you can't like let it beat you up.
That's the thing you learn. And I'm telling to young guys now when they have to play those guys is you won't stop them.
Yeah.
They're going to take 15, 20, 25 shots anyway. This is how they're going to take those. I mean, if they take 20 easy shots out of 25, yeah, they're going to score 50 and be on everywhere in the ESPN and whatever. If only 6 of those 25 are like uncontested, the 19 of those are very tough shots, and they make 10 of those, yeah, they're the best player in the world. So,
do you have a group of sort of the younger generation that you look at? Not to even everyone's game is different, so not to necessarily compare them, but to just be like, this reminds me for Bilal. Like when I talked about it with Bilal, we talked about Jalen Brunson, for example. Yeah. We talked about Ant. We talked about some of these younger generations where it's like, oh, they're still going to give you.
Yeah. I mean, Shea is number one, though.
Yeah.
You can throw whatever you want, though. You're still going to end up with 33.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How do you, I don't want to sidetrack it with this because I feel like everyone keeps talking about this conversation, but I actually am really curious your perspective on it with everything with the foul stuff in terms of like adjusting your defense to it. Like, what do you even make of the whole conversation?
That's BS. For me, I mean, to me, that's BS. So, I mean, he's just good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching the game, the last game, not in game 4, with my son. My son's like, it's not a foul. I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is a foul. I mean, it can piss you off because he was rooting for Rudy because he's close with Rudy.
Yeah.
Gobert. So it's not a foul. I mean, yes, it is.
Well,
it's a foul.
It also it is, and this has been said a bunch, but it is such a skill that those guys have.
It is a skill. I mean, it's like, I mean, like they changed the rules after KD. Like KD was like the ripping through stuff, and you got like free throws every. I mean, KD was great at it, and that was a subject like 10, 15 years ago by KD as well. So
they say it about Joel. It feels like there's a lot of different players.
I played with Joel last year. Like when I played with him last year, and yes, it's a foul. I mean, I was on his side, so that was cool to see that every single game. We're seeing it every game, and team were mad at it because you don't need to do that. Yes, he doesn't need to do that, but he's good at it. So
we're talking about Steph. We're talking about those the Splash Brothers years, the especially when Kevin was there. In terms of just orienting yourself, but then the rest of your team defense to what that particular group was doing. It's another one. Is there anything in particular from a strategic standpoint that you feel like you can really do besides just try to throw them off their game?
You got 3 guys who could score 30 every single game, though. It's just how, like, I remember, like, I was playing for the Hornets at that time, and coach asked me, like, who you want to guard? I'm like, to be honest, let me get KD. Because Clay and Steph just moving and running everywhere.
Yeah.
And KD was not running that much. He used to run that much more in OKC, but that was more. So I was like, I'd rather guarding KD 1-on-1.
Would you ever get put in that spot? Talk to Drew Holiday about this when he was still in New Orleans. They used to make Drew rotate on the three of them because they would be like, remember they played them in the playoffs that year, and they just didn't have other great wing defenders on that team, and so it would be like first possession down, you got Steph, Clay, basically whoever gets hot.
That was insane because okay, I want to guard KD, but KD is gonna give you 40.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, you didn't know at that time because one time Clay's gonna get 35 in one quarter.
Yeah.
The next day, Steph going to make 15 threes. And the next day is going to be KD. So it was pretty much impossible to game plan those guys.
Did you have a vet in the early years in Portland that you leaned on?
Yeah. I mean, more coaching though, but I played 7 years with LaMarcus, Aldridge. My vet was Brennan Roy. B-Roy was my vet first. And but for 7 years I played with LaMarcus. So those two guys were like the guy I lean on to.
With B-Roy, his experience is obviously so unique. Mm-hmm. He's such a killer as a player, and then just terrible luck, mm-hmm. which is just the reality of sports, and it's brutal. But his perspective, learning from him as a vet, having had that journey, how did that sort of affect what he would help you with?
He helped me a lot. My rookie year, I got there from France. Didn't know any English. I flew from France to the Northwest, the farthest team from Europe possible. So, but when I got there early in August and played those pickup game, and I find a connection with him on the court right away because that was my game. He and I think got a connection. So I didn't expect anything. I mean, my summer leagues, I sucked. I averaged 2 points per game, terrible, But when I got in training camp, so Martin Webster got hurt. He was a starting small forward. And when he got hurt, I know that B-Roy said, start Nico. And I was 19. I was like, didn't know anything. So I pretty much started all year long just because of him.
Yeah.
And then, so I was playing only with him, practice on the bench. Like he was huge. He was a big part of my career for sure.
Who do you think the hardest worker you ever played with has been?
I think it's the guy who inspired me actually to get my belt in the gym walking. It was Wes Matthews.
It's funny you say this because Wes is another person. I'm trying to think there's been at least two people who he's been their vet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's undrafted, but he got in the league a year after me in Utah.
Yeah.
And then we signed him. And then I used to get it in the gym. And then, I used to get my shot, but him, it was like 4 off-season crazy workout every single day. Like you could see him like walking on this game like every day. And that kind of inspired me to do the same because, at that time I was kind of lazy. I used to rely just on my game and do my stuff. But the way it was working, and then his game was just he was growing in front of our eyes, and then became from undrafted to a solid starters
on bunch of playoff teams.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and he was my favorite teammate though because then B-Roy retired, and then he and I we became the 2 and 3 of that team when Dame came in. So
when you have both in international play, but then in the league as well, when you have younger guys who you're their vet or just are sort of coming to you for guidance, how much do you think it's a show versus tell? Like how much is it I got to pull you aside and tell you something versus just like watch how I move?
It's just more watch what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they're going to come to me, ask question. Like I got guys on my team, especially the last 2 years, especially this year, like Nick, when you get in the NBA, I'm like 17 years ago. This is my year 17.
Like I've seen a lot of shit.
And I'm still here. I don't do crazy stuff on the court, but I'm still here. It's like, how? I'm like, easy. Don't be stupid. That's it. Everything you do, if it's stupid, don't do it.
I was like, just don't be stupid.
That's the only advice I have. Anything you do on and off the court, if it's going to be a stupid stuff, just don't do it.
What do you think? if you were to take like 10 steps back broadly from 08 to now, but just really more even in the 2010 to 20 sort of 21, 22 range, the biggest shift in the league has been?
2015, 2016, the Warriors.
Just Warriors.
Yeah.
Just
they changed everything.
Yeah. And you could see this, you could just feel it in real time.
Game 4 in 2015 when the small ball lineup changed everything.
Like, what are you thinking when this is happening as you're plotting out your life? And the beauty of your game is you can play no matter what.
That's the thing. Like, guy like me, I mean, the Warriors gave me 5 more years in the NBA. But now, when the Warriors did that, I was a shooting guard. Now I'm playing the 5. Because I can't play the 5 because they allow me to play the 5 because they changed everything. Now the league's kind of we're getting back to the 2 big stuff.
Yeah.
It's coming back unless Indy wins. But yeah, I mean, the Warriors, extend a lot of career.
I mean, the chatter has gone away since they lost, but some of the stuff with Boston last year and earlier this year with the threes and everything, does that feel like the foul stuff a little bit where it's just kind of noise, or does it actually feel like a thing that, is sort of more of a real issue for the league in terms of just the scale of it?
I understand it can be an issue. I understand from the fans' view.
Yeah.
Because I love basketball. I'm a big fan. I'm a player, but I'm a fan as well. So I love going home and watch basketball. I watch everything. And I watch French League, Spanish League, EuroLeague, Euro Cup, whatever. And then, so WNBA. And then when you go back to the NBA, sometimes you're like, oh, they just shot 8 threes, not like straight. I can't understand, like, okay, can you just attack and dunk on someone? So I understand that, though.
It is also, it's interesting watching how their season ended up this year. And obviously the Tatum thing was terrible, but in the first 2 games, it's like you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And when you're not shooting well, you let a team back in a game that you're up 20 and not even a particularly offensive, your opponent's it's not even a crazy sort of high-powered offensive team, but you're just missing 3 after 3. And so there is a little bit of like, this is what sports is. And so it's annoying when it's working against you. But it also is it's a double-edged sword a bit.
Yeah, but they won like that.
Yeah,
a couple of months before that. So it's not like they didn't won like that 5 years ago. They won like that. They were the reigning champ.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to ask about in retrospect, the Charlotte experience.
Mm-hmm.
You gave a quote. I have it written down, but I'll just kind of paraphrase. You gave a quote at some point about just how like people were saying your contract was one of the worst in the league. Your mentality sort of getting through that part of your life and then coming out the other side.
That was interesting, very tough as well. Because when I got there, I got 1 year left on my previous deal from the Blazers. We had a great year. Make the playoffs.
Yeah.
With no All-Stars. We have no All-Star. Kemba wasn't an All-Star yet. No All-Star. We made the playoff. We're like top 6 seed in the East. Lost first one again, 7 game against Miami. D-Wade was insane. But then I resigned there. I was like, okay, gonna feel great. I'm gonna resign there. And then my first year, my contract was great with Cliff. And my second year of my deal, I turned an elbow ligament on my, first game of preseason, elbow, ligament, completely turned. And I was supposed to be out for 3-4 months, and I came back in less than 2.
Were you forcing your way back, or you just why was it so fast?
I mean, I kind of forced my way back. I felt the team needed me. I felt bad to be on the side, so I forced my way back a month earlier. And that kind of hurt me all year long. And I didn't play. I think the summer was free. Didn't have anything with the national team, and they cut Steve Clifford. Was my coach. I love that coach.
JJ loved him too. He's like it seems like everyone who's around that guy loved him.
I loved him. So they cut him, move on from him, and then we have a new coach, and that's the only time that happened in my career, and that happened sometime when the coach and the player don't get along.
Yeah.
Like, clearly we didn't get along. Like, the way he viewed the game and the way I was playing the game, my game was, it didn't match. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. So, and he wanted me to play a certain way. I'm like, okay, but that's pretty much the opposite of my game. And as me, I start staying in a way like, that was my fault too, because I put myself on the whole, like, I can't do that. So what you want me to do? Be a 3-and-D guy?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can be that. But at $25 million a year, I can't.
And how are you, man? I mean, having at this point already, having been through both experiences in the league, but then also internationally, you've seen a lot at this point. So how are you sort of mentally managing all of this?
That was very tough. I mean, especially my last year before COVID. I always say that. I think as the only guy who's happy COVID happened. Because it cut my season.
It was the break.
I needed that. I literally needed that though, at that moment, just to go home and stay home and don't do anything. And I went on the big depression, huge. Like, I gained crazy weight. I was overweight like crazy. My agent said, don't go outside. Don't show yourself for the next 2 months until you lose 30 to 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting to LA.
Yeah.
What about, besides a change of scenery, which can never sort of be, understated as a thing of importance for everybody. What about that kind of was able to bring you back, you feel like?
I always say that, but Ty Lue saved my career. He did. Like, when I got waived, when Woj announced on Twitter, and I find out that way.
Did you really? There was no heads up? It was just
I was in France. And that's a true story. I was in France, so time difference. I was cleaning my living room and the toys with my son, like, we did to go to bed. And my phone's popped out. Woj bumped, Nick Batum got waived, but that's what I find out.
They're like, nice business.
All right. Thank you. So now it's funny because I'm like, okay, I'm going to retire. I pretty much thought I was done.
Yeah.
I'm like, who's going to want me though from that at that time? And my phone started ringing. And yes, of course, the team got the most interest with me was the Clippers. I got like everybody on the phone, Kawhi, PG, Ty Lue, Loris Frank, Steve Ballmer, everybody. So, and I'm like, why not? Because I think our stories match at that time. The bubble stuff, my seasons, I'm like, maybe get together.
And what about Ty Lue in particular? Even, you obviously had the experience this year as well, but at that point, what about him was so influential?
So the 2 years I had before that, awful. I was one number-wise, contract-wise, the worst player in the NBA. And I got there at day one and literally told me, I don't give a F about what happened the last 2 years. You're going to play for me. You're going to start. And I started. I literally started game one.
And is this just him knowing?
He knew.
He just knew you.
Yeah, he knew me. He said, I know who you are. I know what you can bring to like, if I put you next to Kawhi and PG, I know what you can bring to that team.
Isn't it interesting? I'm curious if you talk to talk about changing senior, talk to other guys about this, about just how important this is, how important culture, fit, and just being right place at the right time is in terms of like, we're talking about this now, and you're at this point, 12-year veteran, and you need this confidence. This isn't 2 year into the league, no. Nick. This is a guy that's sort of seen a lot already, and so the importance of chasing that and making sure you're in that right situation and putting yourself in that right situation.
It was huge though. When I got there, I was like, okay, I'm going to do 1 year with a good team, chase a ring, and that's it. And I got there when they told me like, you're gonna play right away. And guys like, there was like Pat Bev, like PG, Kawhi, Zoo, Lou Will. I mean, there was guys, guys, Rondo, like big names all around though. Serge Ibaka too. So Chauncey Billups was the assistant coach, but also one guy was huge. Like after my first practice was Jerry West. Jerry like grabbed me with the shoulder, say, like he was very happy for me to be there with that team because he said we need a guy with IQ like you with this team. We want to be successful. So I mean, everybody like made me feel wanted after having like 2 very, very, very bad years. So
what did you learn about Kawhi as a teammate that you didn't know before?
I mean, you asked me like who's the hardest worker. I say Wes Matthews, but Kawhi is up there. Kawhi is up there. I mean, he's a robot for sure. I mean, no, he is. He is. I mean, one thing which shocked me is before shoot around. I mean, his pre-game stuff in shoot around, like we have pretty much the same shooting time.
Yeah.
So sometimes just watch him and just do the same exact shot, like the same spot, and it's just automatic. And then in the game, you take the exact same shot he just took like for an hour before practice. You just like know his game is insane.
He does have, I mean, he had it, in the game 2 this year. He's had it in the Dallas series a couple of years ago. He has these moments. We've said this in the show before. JJ used to say it when he would play against him, where he's very Jordan-esque, where you look at what he's doing, and he's another one where you are like, he might as well be shooting in the gym by himself when he's like this. When you're playing with that, when that's happening, are you just kind of like, let me just get him the ball and get out of the way?
It's one of those guys, few guys, since I got to NBA the last 15 years, when sometimes you're going to give him the ball and like nothing's going to happen to you. We're going to win this game because he's fine. Like the Dallas series, like in 2021. And we down 3-2, game 6 at Dallas, but you could see it in his eyes like, we're going to be fine.
Was that the one where all the road teams won?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was...
yeah. We won at home game 7, but the game 6, like the way, I'm like, you could feel it. Like, I think everybody knew in the arena, like, okay.
Who do you look at as a sort of student of the league, as someone who's watching it? Who do you look at as, whether you've been teammates with them or not, who do you look at as people that are sort of universally considered to be in that boat of like, okay, when they are on like this, no matter what, we are going to sort of look at this and kind of like just get out of the way and let them make it happen?
Not this year because you had a crazy year, but Luka is like that though.
Did you learn that first in the league or first in
Europe?
Like when in Europe did you know?
I mean, find out about Luka in EuroLeague, like in Madrid, like
in Real
Madrid, and when they won the Eurobasket with Slovenia in 2017. But EuroLeague, you knew like, okay, he's going to be different. It's funny because in Europe now we got one guy every 3, 4, 5 years, different. But now you have Giannis, now you got Jokic, Luka, and I got Wemby. And but I think Luka now, like, especially playoff time, when you can see in his eyes when you got it going, you're done.
When he was in Real, when he was 16, did you see him then at all? Did you have any experience with him at that point, or did you not meet him until you got?
No, the first time I played against him when I met him was in the NBA.
I almost am like loath to bring it up because we talked about it so much in the show, and this is like, how do you trade him? It's just like, how do you like? There's a part of me like they're gonna get Cooper Flag.
If you knew you had Cooper Flag 6 months after, maybe
like that's it.
Maybe I don't think they knew, but
it is like this is the NBA.
Yeah,
as you can never predict.
That's why people love the NBA.
Yeah,
it's crazy stuff like that. But why do you trade him? Good question.
When did you first meet Victor?
2018. He was 14 years old, I think. It's funny because those moments when you see something special.
And had you heard from Tony or anybody about it? Like what was your sort of context on it before you met him?
I mean, we were with the national team practicing in Paris, and then say, "Guy, we gotta go." We have a young team practicing after that, so we go in, and you see this young, skinny dude walking in. Like, who's that though? Oh, it's a young kid. He's 14 years old. He's
14. How tall is he at that point?
He was like maybe 6'10".
Yeah.
At that time. And so, we have to practice, just joking around with the guys, heists, whatever. And then you start watching, playing with the ball and then practicing. It's not normal for a 14-year-old, 6'10" kid, the way he was playing. So I just keep the name on my mind and just following the kid. And then it is what it is at the end. So I was a part owner with Tony Parker. We have a team in France, in EuroLeague, and we signed him in 2018. I think it was 2019. And we signed him, and because we had to have him though. We had to have him because he was so special already at 18 years old.
When you first met him, I've been lucky to spend a little bit of time with him. He's obviously an incredible talent, but he's an amazing kid. So he's wise beyond his years. Did you know that at that point? Or were you...
Yeah, I got a chance to meet him very early, and his parents as well. My wife and his mom got together and appreciate each other as well. So, and his parents were amazing. And you could see he had everything set up.
Yeah.
To be great. And that's why people ask me, you have any advice for Vic? No. He got it. He got everything.
Just take it easy on me.
He got everything figured out. He's going to be fine. Trust me.
He has such an interesting game in that he can do it. I mean, his shooting ability for his size is unbelievable. Did you have any particular basketball advice for him on the transition, just in terms of coming to the league and knowing what your experience was like?
I don't know if he has to do it or no, because if you watch every great, they got that one go or two go-to moves. I don't think he has one or two yet.
Yeah.
But is it a good thing or a bad thing? It can be a good thing, can be a bad thing as well.
Yeah.
I think he needs that one move or that two moves he needs to, but he got so many.
Did he talk to you about the chase down stuff, about the block stuff at all?
Everybody talked to me about it in front.
I feel like you guys. I mean, his advantages are so obvious that his experience is a little bit different than yours in terms of chasing somebody down.
Yeah, I mean it's unfair. I mean, it's funny because I really spent time with him this summer in the Olympics. So we play with him and practicing with him, and we've seen so many stuff in practice that's not normal.
With him,
defensively or offensively, I'm like, if you do that in the game consistently, no. I mean, he's gonna figure it out. I mean, he's still young. He's 20 or 21 years old.
Yeah.
When he's gonna be 26, 27, it's gonna be crazy.
And it feels like that team is they're taking their time.
Yeah.
And they're putting all the right pieces around him. I mean, you couldn't be in a better situation in terms of a team that's been through that.
You'd be fine.
I feel like that before. With your FIBA-wise, what were your earliest lessons from 2012?
The Olympics, right?
Yeah.
London. I mean, the first game was against Team USA, though. I think that's the first game I played in the highest level when we didn't have shoot around. No, we didn't have to. I mean, coach was like, let's play hard and figure it out, because we knew it would be tough to play. And especially it was the opening night, so our goal was to win the other game, to end up second in the group, so we avoid the USA team to the finals. So we played the game hard. I think it was a tie game after one quarter, but we then halftime by 20. And they had Kobe, Brown, and KD. I mean, CP got a crazy team. But what I learned is that was my first Olympics, and I was dreaming about it. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to have to work really hard to get a medal, because the Olympics is the toughest competition I ever played.
And you just knew right away. Just the scale of what you were taking part in felt different. Yeah,
it was different. The Olympics is different.
How does at that point, having been in the league for 4 years, is your approach on a purely pre-game physical and mental, is your approach different? Or are you sort of treating the approach the same way you just...
Now?
No, at that point. Yeah.
No, I was just playing.
Just go out there.
Yeah, just go out there. I tried to, I knew what I was playing against, and I wasn't studying the same way I'm studying right now.
Yeah. How is that? I was meaning to ask you about this in general. How is your day-to-day approach change on a mental level?
Oh, I mean, different. Now I study way more than I used to. The first 5 years, I just go out there. We do shooting around, do pre-game stuff. I was running the numbers, but that's it now. It's more like studying. I'm older too, so when you're younger, your legs is fresher, so we cover different. So you can cover more ground. Now it's different, so I have to be way more mental.
Sort of playoffs aside, if it's a February game and you're playing Indiana with travel, with family, with all of these other things that you sort of have going on in your life, what does that look like for you? Is it always film? Is it sometimes, are you just how are you sort of approaching the mental side of things, knowing the the sort of slog you're going through.
Yeah, it's film. You watch the last 5 games.
Yeah.
I don't only watch the numbers like the average on the season. I watch the average on the last 5 games.
And it's just tendencies.
Exactly. Tendencies and what they want and how they play right now. And coaching staff going that way too. I think the way the game plan is right now in the NBA is pretty much the last 3, 4, 5 games, how they play right now. And the way they get you ready that way, they do a good job because you have so many guys now in the staff to get you ready for that. So, yeah, I mean, not have to because, like I said, when you get older, you have to get ready mentally to really get prepared for anything.
The block in 2020, did that fundamentally change your life when you go back home?
Yes. Yes, because that was after my Charlotte stuff. And I had a great year with the Clippers, and that was my dream to get a medal in the Olympics. And we up by 1, and if you made that layup, we lost the game, and I don't think we're beating Australia for the bronze medal. We would be crushed by that. So, yeah, that block pretty much changed my FIBA career in my life over there in France.
It's interesting. So I wouldn't ask about 24 in a second, but it's interesting with, guys like you, guys like Evan, guys like this who've done this for such an extended period of time, just had this sort of high level of success, the camaraderie that you sort of get by doing this together. And I think about this, this is one of the challenges the US has, is it's a different team, all the time. So it's in 24, it's like you got a, Hall of Fame team. So they're going to figure it out. But this was an issue I know, with some of the FIBA in the sort of non-Olympics years in terms of like, you got a lot of talented guys, but there's no connectivity.
No.
They've never played together. With this particular group, outside of the young guys on 24, with this particular like guys like Evan, guys like Rudy that you've played with for a while, are you guys talking all year round, or is it kind of just like we get back into it and we're back in it?
No, the group chat is active.
It's blowing up right now.
For no reason sometimes. For no reason sometimes. Yeah, group chat is active nonstop. So till today, like 10 months after the Olympics. And now it's fun because like you said, in Europe, I mean, I saw like the numbers when they said Brown, I've been playing with the USA team since 2012, or Steph with 2014. We can't do that. No. Like if you miss one summer, you get killed back home by the media, the people, the fans. You cannot miss it. You have to have a very good reason to miss it.
Yeah.
Even if you got one, like a birth of a child, no, come back anyway. You got to go
Better
anyway.
be your first child.
Exactly.
Second child, no way.
I missed twice because I got 2 kids, so I missed twice after the birth of my both kids. Still crushed.
As we sort of like look towards 28 with this group, and you got Victor, you got Bilal, you got this sort of younger crop every year. It feels like there's, more and more of them coming in. How much of it, besides the sort of individual talent of these guys, which is obviously, very high, is this also just an extension, do you think, of the culture that started 10 years ago in terms of building up the fact that...
More than that. I think we already started it in 2009. I think when the team missed the Beijing Olympics.
Yeah.
When they missed it, we were in a very, very bad shape with the French basketball. So Tony, Boris, all those guys. I think we already started a program. Okay, we got to get back and put France on the map. We got to try to put more good players in the NBA and Euroleague as well. I think we find a groove and a group. And then when Tony retired and Boris retired, we tried to keep going with the new generation. And like I said, now I was the last one. Me and Nando Dakota were the last guy from the beginning. Now we're retired from the national team. So Rudy and Evan still in there, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, the Olympics is going to be great in 2028. We got to qualify first. And the tougher thing is to get qualified for the Olympics.
Yeah.
We got lucky in 2024 because we didn't qualify. We get there because we hosted.
Wait, you didn't? I didn't.
In 2023, we bounced in the first round in the World Cup.
Oh, I forgot about that because I was there. I was in Manila. But you guys did, but nobody
we lost
played.
The first round. We got kicked out by Latvia.
So if you hadn't hosted it, you wouldn't have been in. Oh, that's amazing.
No. We got lucky. We got lucky on this one.
So now that there's been a little bit of distance, what's your perspective on I was there for a lot of it. Your perspective on last summer.
It was maybe the greatest experience in my life, basketball wise.
The whole part of it.
Everything. The way we started it, we sucked. And
Japan.
Even before that, we lost the last 5 exhibition game. 5 in a row.
So at that point,
we were on the 5.
At that point, is there a part of you that is like, I don't even want to, like, because you know, like what you're talking about with the fans and and the amount of expectation there was for the Olympics overall. It's like you're walking into a situation, you're like, we suck and we're at home, and they're going to be like, just going to be shitting on us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we lost 5 games straight. And we played Brazil opening night. We beat them, but it wasn't like crazy win.
Yeah.
And we won by 12 or 13. It wasn't like dominant. The Japan game was insane. I mean, we're not supposed to win that game.
Yeah.
We're not.
Are you paying attention to anything that's happening in the rest of the bracket, or are you just like, we just got to survive?
At that time, we didn't care about anything.
We just got to win.
Yeah, just got to win and hope we end up in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So we can go to Paris, and then maybe it would be different.
And did it feel like something changed in Canada in that game?
Yeah. Before that, I mean, the German game was good because we beat Brazil, we beat Japan, lucky way, but we won. So we qualified. We through. We good. So last game of the group stage was against Germany, and they won the World Cup. The year before, we in France, and they destroyed us. We down 30, I think, at some point, and they're making fun of us, smiling, like talking shit to the crowds, and okay.
It woke everyone up.
Yeah. Yes, it did. After the game, we moved back to Paris, and then we have the bracket for the quarterfinals, and then we got Canada. But if we win, we play Germany again. So it's no offense, and don't get crazy about Canada, but before the Canada game, we're like, all right, we're going to take care of them. We're good. And they beat us by 30 the year before. This
is also just fun. This is also just funny because Canada was, and from the American perspective, that was the team everybody was worried about. They weren't worried about you guys, and Germany maybe, but it was really they're looking at Shea, they're looking at Brooks, they're looking at
us
Nemhard.
too. But at that moment, the way we lost and the way they act, and who they were the world champ. We got Canada cool. Just beat them so we can play Germany again. And they have Shea, Barrett, Lou Dort, like
Jamal,
Neymar.
Yeah.
They got a great team. And they beat us by 30 the year before, by 20, 2 weeks before that. So they were way better. Man, we were more focused on beat them play Germany again.
Germany's shit talking basically killed
exactly.
Canada.
And we were up 20 after 10 minutes against Canada. And they got, and I don't think Shea was scoreless in the first quarter. They ended up with 27. I think we got Shea scoreless in the first quarter. And we changed the lineup, and this is when Gershon Yabusele went crazy, and we ended up beating them. But yeah, Germany game was the most intense we wanted.
I was at that doubleheader. I would say that was about as good as you're going to get between those two. Did you even get to watch the U.S. Serbia at all, or no?
No, because we watched the last 5 minutes, to be honest, because we play first.
Yeah.
So they play after us. And so we won whatever, back to the stuff, and we're having dinner. But we just assumed that the U.S. is going to win by whatever. And so one people from the staff, they say, oh, Serbia out by 15.
In the third quarter.
In the third. Like, we ended up watching it. We're just having dinner with the team, and so we all tuning in and we watch it, the comeback. But we got to watch the last 5 minutes. But yeah, that was a great day for basketball.
It was. It's also that. I mean, talk about the fan base making an impact.
Yeah, that
place was rocking.
It was. I mean, it was great. It was a great tournament for basketball. I mean, people like, if you were not there, you missed something out.
So after you guys beat Germany, how do you juggle we're about to fry you guys because of what you did versus like, we still got to deal with the U.S. in a day and a half?
I mean, we moved on. I mean, we moved on from Germany. Okay, we did it. We beat them. Cool. Now we know, even that was before they played the game, but we knew we're going to play them in 40 hours.
Yeah.
And in the way we lost in Tokyo, we lost by 5 only in Tokyo. So we're like, yeah, I know they got a great team, but if we win this game, it might be the greatest upset in sports history. No, I'm dead serious. We knew that. It might be the greatest upset in sports history.
Yeah.
We're just a bunch of French kids. Our best player is a 19-year-old rookie. We got EuroLeague players who nobody knew about, Cordinier, Yabusele.
You got the worst contract in the NBA. You got Evan, who they won't play in New York.
They won't play him in Detroit, in New York. We got a guy in EuroLeague and nobody knows about. We got like a 19-year-old point guard.
You got Rudy, who everyone loves to dump on in the U.S. You got all these people who are like, it's like bad news bears.
Exactly. And we're going to face one of the greatest team assembled.
Yeah. And so...
At home.
I was like, I'm glad we're not doing this in like September, because you want to like give it a little time and space and everything like that. But so like, even thinking about the way that game went down with Steph in particular, but also just like, I mean, everybody just played great.
Yeah,
like it was just a great.
That was a good game. It wasn't the greatest game. That was a good game. I mean, the way we started it was like bucket after, but like he scored, dunk, threes, whatever. And the crowd was into it. I mean, that was fun though. That was fun. But at the end, like when we cut it to 3, I think everybody was like, oh, is it happening? We might get it. Because we were down 16 though.
Yeah.
We down 16, cut it to 3. And no, I mean, what happened is something like you hate as a player. But I mean,
how do you juggle the I'm pissed this happened because it happened to me versus like I'm on the court while Steph is doing that, which is another one.
Yeah,
biggest upset in NBA or in sports history, but also one of the great moments.
Exactly.
In sports history.
Especially the last one, and I'm on it. And usually when something bad happens to you, you don't want to watch it. You don't. But I look at that player again and like, how did he do it? Like, how did he pull that off? And yeah, I mean, that was crazy. That was insane. And I was on the court though. At least I just feel great to be part of that moment, because for my country, which we tried, and they had to do this to beat us.
Yeah, they had to pull out every stop.
They have to put the greatest 2-minute stretch ever by that guy to beat us.
Did you get a chance to catch up with him this year?
Right after the game, I was going to a press conference, and cause they said they have like drug tests. We did get drug tests too. Not only them, because I saw that, so we're like, oh, Steph got drug tests. Yes, we did too. We got 4 guys, so that was me, a couple of other guys, and I had to go to a press conference, and we're together, and then we talk about it. I'm like, how the hell did you do that though? I had no idea. He said, I had no idea.
It's just like
we're just joking about it right after the game. And no, I mean, it's one of those moments, sports moments, like you can't explain, just happen.
On a broad level, before we wrap, I'm curious from a NBA standpoint, from a FIBA standpoint, when you think about like what makes a good professional, like what are your sort of your tent poles in terms of how you carry yourself, but then also what you try to sort of pass on to other people?
I got great advice when I got there. And one of the best one was when I got drafted and I was walking and tried to do my job and get a spot. And I always say, don't forget one thing. There's another Nick Batum coming in the next draft. And that thing's stuck in my mind for the last 17 years. Like, I always say that no one is going to kick me out. You're going to get my spot if I give you my spot. And I know I'm not another famer, but I'm still playing today. Yeah. I still got a spot in the rotation. And I'm like, unless someone really like kick me out and coach was like, I can't play you anymore because I'm going to play him because he deserves it. Okay. But I'm going to do everything in my power that won't happen. And so far, so good.
I think that's a pretty good way to wrap it up. Batum.
Of course. Thank you.